Hello everyone and welcome to Ljubljana. We are live.
Hello, dear visitors from Flockeo. So happy to be invited in this program. I think it's a great idea for sustainable tourism. My name is Mateja, 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 and I'm a local guide here in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. So first of all, as I said, thank you, Flockeo, thank you, Blondine. And on the other hand, I need to thank also to my colleague, Anita from Croatia, because she invited me to be a part of this team. As we said, we are now in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. And most probably you noticed behind me, there is a green dragon. Well, this is a statue, or actually a monument, a part of the bridge, Dragon's Bridge. And dragon, green dragon, is also the symbol of our city. Why? Because if we go further to the southeastern part, maybe you'll see now, slightly better, there is a hill. And on the top of this hill, we have a castle or a fort. And there is also St. George Chapel. And between this fort on the top and the Dragon's Bridge, we used to have city walls. So whatever you see on now left-hand side was outside of the city until 18th century. And whatever you see now, we are going to walk through this market area, was inside of the city. And you know how it is. St. George was the representative of the new religion, and that is Roman Catholic, which is the main religion here, by the way. And our dragon represented something bad. And that bad should be outside of the city. And that's how they decided to make Dragon's Bridge on this eastern part of the city, so at the city edge. Otherwise, now here we are coming to the area of our market alley, which we are going to see later on a bit better anyway. And this is the market alley, which was done by the local architect, Jože Plečnik. You know, a lot of times it's difficult to explain why this Plečnik is so different and why it is so important. But sometimes we shortly say, if you know what Gaudí means to Barcelona, then you will understand what Jože Plečnik, architect, means for us here in Ljubljana. Anyway, about that maybe later. Now let's go towards the market. Today is the Friday, actually market in Ljubljana. We have every day except Sunday. And every day you can buy something fresh for your meal. I heard that this is for you now lunchtime. So I think it's proper time to talk about food. I hope you have also some vitamins on your menu. By the way, I wish you bon appetit, or in our Slovenian Slavic language, that would be dober tek. Dober tek. So enjoy your meal. Yeah, lots of locals come here to buy fresh vegetable and fruit directly from the farmers. So that's why we call it also farmers market. Today, it's not so busy. So for us, this is not busy. Busiest will be tomorrow on Saturday. Because Saturday is a day off So lots of people who need to work during the day have no time to visit the local market, and they will do that tomorrow, more or less. But if we have a chance, look, there is definitely something for you. Here we have green cabbage, red cabbage, beautiful turnip for a pumpkin, for a nice green soup. I would say some of them make even chips, you know, like potato chips, but there's a pumpkin chips. So lots of grapes, yeah. And then if you go further down, you're going to see people have also walnuts. By the way, the most important Slovenian cake is potica. That's made more or less in winter time. And this is a kind of a bread filled with a very nice filler, more or less made by walnuts. Sometimes, of course, also hazelnuts or maybe raisins. But the best one is with walnut made, and that's going to be our dessert for the coming Christmas, because Christmas is a big day. Although for children, big day was also December 6th, because Saint Nicholas brought them presents. And now we are entering the old part of the city. Most probably you notice here, this is a car-free zone. So you need to have a magnet card, a special permission that you enter the city. And now we are walking through this old part, car-free zone. And now on the right-hand side is coming the main church. By the way, we have 26 churches in the city, more or less Roman Catholics, we said. Then is also Orthodox, Serbian Orthodox. There is a mosque, there is a Lutheran church. And this one here on the right-hand side, so is our cathedral, and it's called Saint Nicholas. So Saint Nicholas brought presents to our children a few days ago. But otherwise, Saint Nicholas is also the patron of all boatmen and sailors. I would say everyone who does something with water. And since Ljubljana is next to the river, so water transportation was very important. The cathedral is really interesting. Maybe one day we should talk about the cathedral only. Just maybe a few details from this side door, which is quite modern. It was put here 1996, made of bronze. We have Jesus below, and then we have bishop's hats from 20th century. And on the top, we have also a symbol of Virgin Mary and the resurrection. So this is our side door. On the other side is hidden also the main door, but about that next time, because today is actually an overview. It's still really bright, but I hope that you see here above me blue fish. That's the decoration, the light Christmas decoration, blue fish. And there are also some other colors, actually just yellow ones. And we have 12 yellow color fish, and there is one blue one, this one, which represents actually Jesus. So the 12 of them, they represent apostles, and the other ones, they represent, the blue one represents Jesus. And this is all next to our cathedral, as we said. And now coming to our right-hand side, we have Bishop's Palace, because Ljubljana is also the seat of archdiocese. Actually, we have 2 of archdioceses in Slovenia, and there are also some smaller bishop seats around Slovenia. I haven't asked you, but do you actually know where Slovenia is? A lot of people actually are not aware that there is a little tiny country between Italy on the west, North Austria, northeast we have Hungary, And then eastern and southern part, we have Croatia. And on the southwestern part, there is also a short coast. So our country touches also Adriatic Sea. And I'm very happy because Blondine said to me that 2 years ago, she visited some places on this short Slovenian coast. And most probably you notice that there is some Mediterranean influence in our city. Right ahead of us, there is a fountain. Well, at the moment, no water, because temperatures are below the freezing point during the night. But there are 3 men. So you see there is a kind of a terrace. And then there are 3 men, each of them representing one Carniolian river. Yeah, this is a copy. That's why it looks so new. Originally, it's in the National Gallery. But this is the idea for this fountain. Artist, this was Francesco Roba, got in Rome. Maybe you notice there are 4 men for 4 world rivers. And he said, oh, you have here 3 rivers. So let's make a fountain of 3 Carniolian, central Slovenian rivers. And all that is between the cathedral, which we just left behind us, and the city hall. So if you have a look over here, it's pretty empty today because we are in a kind of a slowdown. I won't say lockdown, but slowdown. This is our city hall. Inner part is, let's say, from the 15th century, but this outer part is from 18th century. And this is a kind of a Baroque period in Ljubljana, which is a mixture between the Mediterranean Baroque and the Central European Baroque. Well, ahead of us, we have the old part of the city. That's maybe for one of our future tours. And now I'm inviting you to follow me towards the new city center. Yeah, maybe I will change the camera now because this could be quite helpful. You see behind me, we have the city hall. And there we used to trade with goods. We are right in the middle between Venice and Vienna. And people traded with goods in our city along the river of Ljubljana. And most of the old part is actually now behind me. So let me show you. We have the castle on the top of the hill. So it's around 70 meters higher from the position where I am now. Then we have a lot of houses squeezed between the castle, the fort, and also the new part of the, well, let's say the river, because that was the most important. And this is the direction where we are now heading. So let me change the camera again, because it's going to be more helpful for you to understand what's going on here. So we are going now to the left riverbank. So at the moment, we are still in the old town, along the river, right riverbank. And very soon, on my right-hand side, you're going to see the part of the market where we actually started our tour. And it's pretty new part because the whole area along the market, which you can already see starts now on our right-hand side, was built between both world wars. And this is a kind of a forum romanum, along the river. So you can see lots of colonnades. Then we have arcade shops. This is so-called cover part of the market. And then we have the open air market, which we've seen before. So now I'm crossing the bridge. Actually, there are 3 of them. So you can see the middle one, where this truck is and where the lady with the dog walking across. Then there where the couple is with this red backpack, there is one bridge. And here is another one. So 3. The main one was actually this central one. Sorry, I'm going back. So the main one was this in the middle. And then at the beginning of 20th century, there was already so much traffic, you know, in the city. Cars, tram, bicycles, everyone. That architect Josef Flechnik said, let's put 2 more bridges, left and right, for slower traffic, you know, for pedestrian and cyclists. And that's how it was done, finished in 1933. And then between these 3 bridges, and far away at the end, I don't know if you noticed, but there are some green signs, there is so-called Dragon's Bridge. And then in the middle, we have one more bridge, which is pretty new. And this is so-called Lover's Bridge, where you can lock your love. But I would say still, since I'm a tourist guide, official name, and this is so-called Butcher's Bridge. About that next time. Today, you can see that the river is actually very fast, because in the last few days it was raining and it was snowing. Now the temperatures are better. Snow is melting, so we have a lot of problems with floods on the southern part of Ljubljana, where is the marshland. And this is the bird's paradise. So for all nature lovers, for all lovers of sustainable tourism, this is a kind of a must. You need to take a bike, you need to cycle down to the marshland. Of course, not in the days like these days, because it's all underwater. But when it's dry, this is just a perfect escape from the city. Otherwise, if you throw a bottle in this river with a message, that message would reach the Black Sea area, Mediterranean, and maybe even Atlantic, and who knows where else. Because it flows towards Sava River, which is the longest Slovenian river, then to Croatia, and then along the border between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, towards Serbia, Belgrade, the capital of Serbia, and there it flows directly into Danube. That's how fast it is. And then with Danube, all this water reaches also the Black Sea area. But let's go a bit further because there is still more to see. We are approaching one important monument in the city, and this is so-called Precedence Monument. I'm just trying to focus more because there is also a truck coming. I would like to avoid it. Anyway, this monument now ahead is dedicated to the greatest Slovenian poet. Very soon you're going to see his name written on the monument. Here, Precedence, so P-R-E-S-E-E-R-E-N. And Prešeren is a kind of a Slovenian Goethe. You know, he wrote a lot of poetry in Slovenian language because we were a part of the Austrian monarchy for a long time, actually until the end of the First World War. And somehow they said that Slovenian language is not good enough to be official language because it's the language of the common people and so on. And this gentleman, this poet, proved different, that Slovenian language is good enough to be official language as well. And about him, we have a muse. And this muse was his inspiration because he wrote a lot about love and peace. And this is now the center of the city. So we have Art Nouveau buildings. Then we have a red church, Franciscan church. Then you have few streets that you can see from left and right coming. Right towards the city center to Precedence, where we meet from here. There are two streets, for example, one on the right, one slightly ahead. Then we have this central part of the bridge with the castle. And then here, the monument to Precedence. And we always say that this is our meeting point. So when you want to go with friends for a coffee, we say, oh, let's meet at 5 o'clock at Precedence, and then we decide where we are going to drink coffee. Actually, these days, this is a bit of a problem because all the coffee shops and restaurants have to be closed, because the pandemic situation is not the best. Most probably you noticed that I had also a mask, or I have a mask. So we need to wear masks outside as well. And we are going to see how long this is going to take. But since the temperatures are a bit lower, most probably this will not be for a short time. Anyway, I would like to put some more attention to our three bridges again. Look at them. There is the building on the right riverbank, and then there is a market. And then next to it, we have these three bridges. So the one which is fixed in the river, it's the central one, the oldest one. And then this one, which has a fence left and right. This one is new, so it's like, 70, 90 years old. And architect Plečnik said, oh, Ljubljana is the last, let's say, Mediterranean city towards north. So when you travel from Venice through Trieste, Ljubljana, let's say to Austria, this is the last city where you feel like as you would be in one of the Mediterranean cities. And then he said, let's put steps to the left and to the right. And we are going to bring a little tiny detail of the most beautiful bridge from Mediterranean area. I hope you noticed that you found some similarity of the Rialto Bridge from Venice. Yeah, this was again, Jože Plečnik had many ideas, and I think that today everybody really just admires him. So let's see a city map. We are now right in the city center, where this number 4 is. So this is the Crusaders Square with a monument. Then we have number 2, Red Church. And number 3, for 3 bridges. We started our tour on the eastern part. That is the area of our Dragon's Bridge, number 8. Then we have the market alley along the river. 6 is Farmers Market. 7 is the Cathedral. 5 is our City Hall. Then we walked along this street, Trita Street, number 3, toward 3 bridges, number 4, 2, and now we are here along the river. And we will go towards the Congress Square. Number 26 is our university. And then through some parts of this tiny new square towards south, where it's even more like off the beaten track, because the idea of this Flockeo is actually to spread the visits, sightseeing, also outside of the city centers, which are usually crowded. Although I have to tell you that, let's say, November, January, February, March are actually calmer months. This is not so bad here. In fact, everybody who would like to really experience local life, I would suggest that you visit us in these months. As you can see, you can still go around by bicycle. For example, I came today by bicycle to the city. You just put gloves on, you put, I don't know, a cap like I have here. Just a second, I would like to change the camera slightly a bit. So you see, you have a scarf, you have a cap, gloves. Today, I don't even need gloves. And I think this is just perfect if you don't want to be in the crowd. But otherwise, of course, it's your choice. Now let's go back to the scenery because I think it's very nice. So on the top, here we have the river, as you mentioned. Then we have the old city. And on the top, we have the fort or the castle. And now I'm going to use some steps on the right-hand side because I would like to bring you to so-called Congress Square. By the way, also these steps with a lamp, pillar, those fences on the left-hand side, and they are, by the way, the same also here on the right-hand side. This is all done by architect Plečnik. He had plenty of ideas how to do. And before I reach the whole square, I would still like to invite you to follow me for a nice place where a lot of visitors, maybe also locals, like to take a rest for a nice city view. So we have the river on the right-hand side. Then we have all part of the city on the right river bank, the castle or the fort on the top of the hill. Then we have a small narrow bridge for pedestrians. And then further on the left-hand side, we have the river of Ljubljana, which turns the direction. You know, it's flowing from south towards north. And then just here where the three bridges are, it turns to the east, that direction that I mentioned before. And I think that from this place, you can really have a nice view of three bridges, the red church, and also the beginning of the
Mateja?
Yeah, let's go on. Yes.
I just have a few questions for you. And first, I would like to transfer to you all the hellos that you've had. We've had people from Bulgaria, Croatia, France, Ireland. So just to let you know. And
thank you.
So Paul from Ireland is asking, what's the population of the city?
So Ljubljana has slightly less than 300,000 people, 294,000 people.
Okay, thank you. And then...
Sorry, whole Slovenia, 2 million.
Okay, thank you. And then Ildiko is asking, what are the typical souvenirs that you would recommend to buy in Slovenia and especially in Ljubljana?
Yeah, so in Ljubljana, a lot is connected with a dragon, you know, because St. George is the main city protector. And then, of course, let's say from the history, a dragon would have a negative connotation. But today it's different because soccer fans, basketball fans, ice hockey fans, they are all called green dragons. So I would say something with the dragon. 60% of Slovenia is covered with wood. So I would definitely suggest something made of wood. We have a lot of honey in Slovenia, so honey products, which are, by the way, very important in these days when we have these health issues. Then I would recommend also handicraft. Lots of laces and a lot also Slovenian modern design. You know, Slovenia is very close to Italy. our Academia for Design is really very popular. And we have a lot of young designers who combine old tradition with a modern design. So I would say just come and choose your present.
Okay, thank you. Just two more small comments to tell you. Paul said when you were just showing us the nice view by the river, he said he's glad that you do not drop your phone inside the river.
Yeah, I look, yeah, I was a bit cold.
Yeah, and then Ildiko also asks if the small sightseeing boats are still operating in this season.
Yeah, so I'm happy that, was he already in Ljubljana because he knows so much?
Oh, so that's Ildiko. That's a girl, and I do not remember. I will check if she said it in the
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yes, they are operating when it's everything normal. But at this point, this is considered as a public transportation, and that's why they are not operating.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But for example, in the summer, they were operating. And also, I have to tell you that if the water is so fast as today, they wouldn't be operating. Yeah, but otherwise, it's a perfect way to discover the city.
Okay.
You can even rent a private boatman to take you around.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, and in the meantime, we reached already so-called Congress Square. I think that you noticed that behind me there is a yellow building. This is the Philharmony. And then on the top of the hill, we have again the castle. And now I will switch the camera because I would like you to see something else. What is actually on the western part. This is the Ursuline Church, Holy Trinity Church. Used to be a convent. I can see that followers are coming from all around the globe. I would just like to mention that Ursulines, nuns, they opened schools also for common girls. Because, in the past, girls had to stay at home and only boys went to school. And also Ursulines changed the whole system. So we are very thankful that Ursulines came to Ljubljana as well in 18th century, and they organized that school. But now it's not operating anymore. Maybe you noticed that this square is pretty empty because there is a garage beneath me for 720 cars. That's why it is possible to have this huge car-free zone. Then now ahead of us, we have so-called Star Square or Star Park. You see the footpaths are like a star coming from each direction. And there are plane trees, sycamore trees. The leaves are already now brown, but otherwise they were very beautiful reddish. And these sycamore trees give us really nice shade in the summertime when it can be quite hot in Slovenia or especially in Ljubljana. There are some decorations. Let me try to focus it. Do you see it now here? It's like green and white. These decorations are handmade by children from different Ljubljana schools. This year, schooling is from home. So most of the decoration was made already last year. They didn't throw them away, and thank God, I would say, because they can still use the decoration from previous year. Yeah, and in the evening, let's say after 5 o'clock, it's really very charming. So the building ahead of us is the Philharmony. Maybe on the top, let me try to focus it. It's 1701. That means that Philharmonic Society or Academia Philharmonicorum was established in that year, but today's building is newer from the end of 19th century. And we have an orchestra, and in the summer, there is a stage ahead of us, for example, where these two ladies are now coming. There is a stage and the hall, the rest of the area, there are seats, and we can enjoy concerts in the summer under those beautiful stars with a castle view. They are not just, classical music, but also rock music, pop music, so that there is something for everyone. And then just next to it, we have the university. This is the seat of university, because Ljubljana's university is pretty big. We have 23 colleges, 3 academias, and this is the seat. And now I'm approaching the fountain of Europe. Today I don't have time to explain the story of Europe and the ball and how our continent got the name. But I think it's important that I tell you that this monument was a gift by family Kralj. Kralj, this is the family name. Namely, their father was a very good and very prominent Slovenian artist, and he made this fountain. And when Slovenia was, maybe I should explain you this, when Slovenia, was internationally recognized, because Slovenia, so before I mentioned where we are placed, and Slovenia used to be a part of Yugoslavia. So where Anita comes, for example, Croatia, then Slovenia, we were all together in Yugoslavia. And then internationally, we were recognized on January 15th. Yeah? And that was the day when this family gave the fountain as a gift to our university. Because I mentioned before that Slovenian language is official language since 1918. That would be after the First World War. Before it was German, because we were a part of Austrian monarchy. And of course, it was very important for Slovenians that they could stay at home and study in Slovenian. So it's a kind of a proof of our Slovenian culture. Although first printed books were printed in 1551. So that's the middle of 16th century in the Reformation period. And that's why today we do have some Reformed churches, not so many, but we do celebrate Reformation Day, which is October 31st, because it's so important for our Slovenian culture, language, and generally, I would say, identity. We are part of the Slav in Europe, but about that maybe next time, because we are already approaching, sorry, I need to show you this. We are already approaching very nice, cute street. This is now here, narrow street. Yeah, maybe I should show you this as well, because here is a sign like this. So Steza, that means a Neza street, a very narrow street. And Židovska, that means Jewish. So here we have Jewish street. And today, of course, Jews, they live everywhere. The community is, by the way, very small. I think they said like around 350 in the whole Slovenia. But that, in 16th century, this used to be a so-called Jewish area, not a ghetto, but just the area where predominantly live Jews. The buildings are very narrow here and streets very narrow, so I hope the internet connection will be fine, but I will be out of this area pretty quickly. I just wanted to show you also the area where we used to have a synagogue in Ljubljana, but that was already in 1515 when these Jews from Ljubljana were expelled. And they went down to the coast, the Dalmatian coast, where Anita comes from, or even Venice. We have a very good colleague of ours from Venice, and she does also tours there. And she said most of the migrants, Jewish migrants, to Venice came in 1516. So when these poor guys needed to leave our area here. So on the left-hand side, a narrow street. Then we have one on the right-hand side. But I will take this straight ahead because the signal in this old part was not so good. The area along the river is much better. And we are going to see again everything you see near the castle. Then narrow buildings, right riverbank, and I'm still on the left riverbank. On your left-hand side, there will be some columns. And this is again quite modern. It's from the period of József Plečnik, that architect that I mentioned so many times. So 1933, he wanted to make a temple. You know, that's why columns left and right. But unfortunately for the roof, there was not enough money. So we have a temple without a roof. Huh? And it's called Cobbler's Bridge. Yes, cobblers used to be in this area here. And they had little shops. That bridge was made of wood. And later on, they replaced it with another iron one. And this one, let's say kind of a more modern one, it's here since 1933. Yes, let's go on. There is one local hard-working man buying chestnuts, roasted chestnuts. I wish you were here because this is really very smelly. And when you have your fingers cold, the best is to buy some roast chestnut, and then that's your treat. Yeah. But let's go on. So still along the river. So we are going to this off the beaten track. On the left-hand side, interesting narrow buildings, but I would like to point out the area on the right riverbank, just passing by. Like this, I would like to focus one building in the center. Okay, it doesn't work, but anyway, I hope you noticed that there are quite a few Baroque palaces, but there is one exception far away, like orange and white on the left corner. And this is another work by architect József Plečnik, done at the beginning of the Second World War, and it's our national library. But let's leave this for the next time. We are continuing along the river. And most probably you notice that the buildings on the left-hand side, some of them are very narrow, like greenhouse ahead of us now. Just 2 windows in width. Have you noticed? And then on the left-hand side from this green building, we have one building with 3 windows. Well, this is a perfect example of medieval and, let's say, early New Age of the architecture in Ljubljana. The main size, let's say the normal size of houses, was just 2 windows in width. But some people said, oh, that's so narrow, you know, that's not enough place. Why couldn't I have 1 more window in width? And that's when they were allowed to build a house with 3 windows in width. But they needed to pay tax. That was so-called window taxation. Yeah. So if you walk through the old part of the city, like from on the right riverbank later on, you will see there are some bigger palaces. But that just means that buildings are newer. So the oldest ones are those ones which are so narrow. Yeah. And now we will continue. And ahead of us, there is one dark monument dedicated to our, we say, most important mayor in Ljubljana. His name was Ivan. That could be John or Giovanni. And Hribar, he played an important role, again, in the identity of Slovenians, because he used Slovenian language only, all the time. And he's also the author of a new Ljubljana, built after, let's say, 1895. Especially the period, let's say, from 1900 to 1914, when the First World War was around, actually started, and Jože Plečnik was later. So Ivan Hribar was a mayor in the city before Jože Plečnik time, but I think if they were together, Ljubljana could be even more, let's say, flourishing, although we are quite proud of both of them, by the way. Huh? Yeah, this area now is pretty empty, as you can see. Few families going for a walk. Maybe from time to time we see also children. They don't go to school, as I said. Homeschooling. Lots of parents are now quite challenged, I would say, by working from home and also working with children. And sometimes they go and get some fresh air as well. And in the city, it's actually not so bad because there is not so much traffic anyway. I'm going to finish now very soon. I would just like to show you one detail here. These are our city bikes, you see. They're called bicikl. Bicikl, LJ, this is the symbol for Ljubljana. And for example, there was one young man. He just checked in. He is taking a bicycle. Okay, adjusting his seat as well. And he's going to ride a bike to another part of the city. And he's going to leave the bike over there. So this is really perfect. You don't need to have your own bicycle. You just rent it. And if you don't use it more than 1 hour, this is free of charge. And I think this is really very helpful for everybody who would like to move around in sustainable ways. So that means walking or even cycling. So, dear visitors, dear followers, that's where I wanted to finish my today's tour. Another view of the old part of the city. So we have the castle on the top of the hill, some houses on the right riverbank, the river of Ljubljanica, and then the new part on the left river side. Yeah, I would really like to thank my colleagues, Landine from Flockeo, and also Anita for inviting me to join this team. I hope that you enjoyed your time with me in Ljubljana, and I hope that I managed to persuade you to come and visit us in Ljubljana when the times will be better. Thank you very much and enjoy your lunchtime. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mateja. Bye-bye.